Hey guys, how's it going? Today's gonna be a bit of a long journey, but if you stick with me, I think there's something useful you'll find out. Alright, we'll begin with a concept I think many of you heard, but for those who don't deal with programming themselves, if you just play Dota, maybe that's something you don't think about when it comes to Dota. So there's this idea of game design. And design is a weird word in a sense, explaining what exactly does it mean is not so simple, I would say. At least it wasn't that easy for me to understand um, until even recently. And, I'm quite old, so it took me quite a while. Uh, Even despite the fact that I have, art friends, to quote the character, Ryan Gosling's character from The Big Short. Uh, But I do have a friend who is a very good artist, and he's a designer. Um, Even though he explained a lot to me, I still didn't get it until somewhat recently. And the thing I kind of like interpret it as now is design is something that is suggestive. So if you walk into a room and there's something like a clock in the room, it kind of suggests that while you're in this room, time might have something to do with it. So, if you are designing a waiting room, probably a clock should be in there. On the other hand, if you don't put a clock into a waiting room, you can create this surreal experience, and maybe it's something as well. So, what does the game design have to do with Dota? Well, Dota is a game, right? And if you don't design the game, then it's kind of random what you're gonna get. Uh, that is not to suggest that Dota is a full on like arcade game completely designed, but there is some design. And the way I kind of realized it a bit deeper is that when I started thinking about newer heroes such as Ringmaster, um, and of course, I want to say Bango, but it's not Bango, it's Largo. Largo, who was recently added, even, Kez. All of these heroes, they feel, I don't know about you, but to me, they feel like they're Dota heroes, I don't have this internal sort of feeling that, oh, these heroes are just there's something wrong with them. They don't belong in Dota. If you think about the hero like Primal Beast, to me, Primal Beast is it's almost like he's always been in Dota. What do you mean? Oh no, actually, wait, he wasn't. And I'm not really a noob in a sense. Like I haven't started playing Dota like recently. To me, Glimmer, oh my god, Glimmer Cape still feels like a new item. I still every time I see it, I feel like, oh, this is a new icon. It's a bit less nowadays because it's been in the game for 10 years, but to me, it still feels like a new addition. It's like in a category of newer things in Dota. I bet there are some people who might be listening to this who haven't played Dota before Glimmer Cape, and that's totally okay. So, what am I trying to say here? Well, the reason these heroes are kind of. Oh no, I need the bigger eraser. Yeah, that's nice. Uh, so the reason I mention this is I think these heroes feel kind of natural for the game simply because of the fact that there is a kind of game design manual. Oh no. Oh, I can do that. Wow, that's cool. So I can make it fat. Anyway, there's some kind of game design manual which says that, A, I'm gonna. I saw. I got this wisdom from YouTube Shorts. Maybe it's not so good, but in game design, there's like this pattern where you have like I think speed, like tankiness, and damage. And if you want to design like an enemy for your character, like let's say it's a single player game, you can choose two, but not three. If you choose three, then it's going to be overpowered. So it can be fast and tanky, but it shouldn't have much damage. It can be fast and a lot of damage, but shouldn't be tanky, or it can be tanky and a lot of damage, but it cannot be fast. I guess you get the idea. So the same kind of pattern I think follows in Dota. Is just it's broken down into like a bigger matrix of tools that have sort of like a gradient to them. So what does all of this mean? So in Dota, you can notice that, let's say you have a character that heals, such as Dazzle or Omni Knight or Chen, whatever, more Oracle. And if your character has a lot of heal, then I wish I knew how to switch to like a different color, like so I can be cool and use 2 colors. Actually, maybe there's like a, let's say, hotkey for this. Okay, guys, I'm learning as we speak. Is it X? Okay. Oh my god, guys, this is a new level. Anyway, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, check this out. Fuck. Anyway, so if it has heal, it shouldn't have a lot of damage. Sorry, not exactly what I was gonna say. It shouldn't have a lot of control. All of these heroes, like, they can heal, but they cannot really control you. You can just get away from them. So they have like a purpose. And I think this is sort of a game design choice when they, like, whoever is at Valve is designing a hero, they have to adhere to this. And they can have some sort of control, like if you take Oracle or Omni, for example, where like control is, like this is DK stun, and this is, okay, let me use it, and this is like, what's the weakest form of control? Well, I guess no control, so this is 0 control, 0% slow stun or whatever. And then a hero that has heal can be here somewhere. But there's a threshold that he cannot, go through, otherwise he's going to become broken. And if you remember when Dazzle got his upgraded ulti and like started he had the hex on his Q right away or something like that, I don't remember exactly how it went. It kind of made him really strong as a post 3 and post 2. There were other things that were connected to it, but in that sense, like if we take this paradigm, like try thinking about like Death Prophet. Right now she has a lot of damage. Actually, if you play it, it's a strong hero. She has a lot of damage, and she has a lot of heal. But then she has no control. Like she has barely any control. Only control she has is her shard that is gonna make you run away from her a bit faster, I believe, but maybe not. So these design choices, they are there so that the heroes are kind of fit in properly, so that there's no so the game is kind of balanced in that way as well. Of course, the numbers matter, like if you give Omni 1000 HP heal with like 10-second cooldown, I mean, it's not gonna matter that he's not gonna have a stun. It's just gonna matter that he has that absolutely absurd heal. So this is not the only thing that's balanced in the game, but once you see this, you realize that, and this is where we can, I guess, kind of jump into Dota a little bit. And if we look here, you can see that heroes are sort of tagged with pusher, nuker, initiator, escape, durable, disabler, range, melee, and then there's like support and carry. It's kind of funny that it says carry or support, but we call this core, so I think this is more or less like implies that the hero is a core, and these are kind of core heroes and these are kind of support heroes. I'm not saying this is up to date, but this is how like the people who are making the game, this is how they think. And I think for the longest time, what I'm telling you right now would be considered to be like, this is high key nude. Who's nude? Noob. High key noob behavior. What this means is that if you think in those terms, you're just a noob. You don't know the nuances of the game. You don't understand how the intricacies of the game work, how things can affect sort of each other, and then the whole paradigm of having a healer kind of breaks down because he can buy a hex and just kill everybody or something like that. But I think as game progresses, it actually is being moved towards this paradigm of adhering to some design, to some game design. It doesn't mean it can be broken, but I think it's kind of there's a push towards amplifying this idea that heroes have like a role, and the way you play in the game is you have not exactly 5 roles, but you have like tower damage, like heal, reduction, something like that, like physical damage. You can grade them like that, but then you can also kind of go into the direction of let's say tower damage, but then you can have like wave clear, and then you can have like macro hero or like vision hero, etc. So you can kind of divide into these categories, and this is not exactly anything new, but thinking in these terms kind of gets us to our next kind of thing. Well, let's watch a game, and we're kind of going to look at what happens when players don't care about Valve's ideas. Don't care is a bit maybe exaggeration, but in some sense, that's kind of maybe the goal, is to understand how you can get out of those limitations or something like that. Anyway, this is, by the way, this is bugged. Provision are not winning 2 games, I think. This is game 1 of Blast Dota Slam 6 qualifier in Europe. Spoiler alert, neither Svinseri qualify, but this is game 1. In my previous video, I kind of mentioned this drafts with bands of Wisp. But this time we're going to look at something a little bit different. So, Pyrovision are known for their Slark right now, 9 class specifically, and you can see Navi are kind of almost baiting a Slark pick. Like it does seem like they want a Slark pick. They're picking Jakiro 5 and like not banning Slark, so it just makes total sense that they would go Slark. And then, for those who are, easily frightened, or toxic in pubs, etc., and get ready because you're about to rage really hard. Who's the carry for Navi? Guess 1, 2, 3. Did you guess? Well, it's Pugna. Yep, it's Pugna. And the idea here is pretty simple. I think many people who kind of try to theorize how to beat 9 class Slark kind of theorize this some sort of strategy like that, where what you do is you just try to take all of his towers, because what is he gonna do? Like, he cannot really defend the towers, right? But this is where kind of game design and this like very straightforward, like, okay, so they have no like wave clear, so we're gonna go or like low damage, we're gonna go group up as 5 and do tower damage. So this is like very basic thinking, right? And it kind of fits in with a game design idea. But here's what happens in this game. We're gonna speed through this a little bit. 9 class just playing a little bit of his Slark. They get first blood on Jakiro. By the way, like, this is honestly, when you're watching this, like, as I don't know, as a pub player, when you're watching this, especially if you're lower ranked than like, but I don't think it has much to do even with rank. Like, if I was playing this Slark in a pub and I was mid denying the creep at 28 seconds and my mid came in like this, and I was still standing there, like, I think he would, there's like, 10% chance that the game was already lost because Viper would destroy his items. So to me, this is like pretty fun. Anyway, so here's kind of number one reason why the game is already broken. in a sense, like from design perspective, this is already a little bit breaking the game, because what is he doing? He is not, he's not a support hero. I believe Slark. Where is it? Where are you, Slark? Slark should be here somewhere, right? So yeah, it's a carry hero, but we'll consider the core hero, right? So it's not a support hero, but it's already been played as a support. And one reason why it's not really a support hero is it doesn't help, your teammate do anything. If Slark was trying to fight two range heroes here, it wouldn't work, right? I mean, it's kind of obvious. But it's good sometimes to go into like the obvious and really understand why it is obvious. Like what makes it obvious choice. So this is already game breaking a little bit because he's just not playing the game as it is intended. There's no laning. He kind of ruins the laning, and it's a normal action. But this is what allows. Like if this was fixed, then Slark probably, there's a good chance Slark would just be unplayable, as a hero. In position 4 if you couldn't do this. So this is where Dota is really cool and saying like there is game design, but then the devs, they don't really treat you in a way where like, no, you have to play like we want you to play. So this is already kind of game breaking. And you can see like this idea, like we have two range heroes against two melee heroes, it almost doesn't exist. Now we're gonna go back a little bit to the draft, and here's what kind of an interesting idea that happened in the draft. The Pagna is going to be carry, but this last pick is, I think, a more interesting choice. So when they're picking Naga, they know already that this is going to be Enigma Tiny, most likely, right? Or like Enigma Pagna. This is going to be a tough lane. Like Enigma is going to be tough. And you can see he's quickly picking Naga, so I don't think they were like thinking Naga Mirana lane where Mirana is carry, or like they're not thinking Mirana for carry Slark. Carry Slark would probably be worse against Enigma than Naga. So the reason they're picking Naga is going to become kind of more relevant later, but as far as I understand, they kind of knew they were picking, they were less picking a lane that's not going to go too well. Although maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, Enigma's going to do well against Naga, pretty much, always, maybe not always, hard to say. Anyway, back to the game. So, the plan for Navi is pretty simple. They want to do what? They want to, they kind of want to push towers. They want to abuse the fact that Slark is going to be relatively weak early, and, what does it matter if he shows, like if Slark shows you everybody in the enemy team, like their position, and if there's a 5-man push on your tower, like it doesn't really matter. So the idea here is rather simple. By the way, he's somehow winning mid on Kez, maybe because versus Viper. Is that how it works? Wow, that's pretty crazy. But you can see that Enigma is having a good game, Pagna is having a good game, kind of, everything is going according to plan for Navi, kind of according to plan. By the way, I'm not suggesting that Navi didn't know Slark was going to pull waves. Like, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, like, this is how, the game is a little bit broken. But at the same time, it kind of allows for more heroes to be played in various roles. But then, the reverse can happen where it just becomes that it's pointless to pick like a range post 5 because they're just going to pick a melee post 4 that's going to pull with boots, and that's it. There's nothing you can do, so you can only match it with like post 4. So, and then it becomes just the only meta is like post 4s are all going to be post 5s are just going to be melee, etc. So there are unintended consequences to some of these design choices, and this is kind of what makes Dota fun as well, because you don't really know beforehand how it's gonna. You can have an idea, and sometimes it works how you plan, but sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, here's what Pagna is doing. So Pagna is pushing towers, as you can see. This is your carry. He's just going and pushing every single tower. I don't know why he's getting tipped, but it's kind of funny. Maybe Satanic already knows how this game is gonna go. But what you can notice is that. Fire Vision are winning on gold, so they're losing towers. Like they traded 3 towers for 1. They're gonna trade for mid tower, and in some sense, this is already kind of, there's like solo black hole on Mirana with drums, so they're full on committed to this push strat. Full on committed. There's Naga here with Yasha trying to stall this a little bit. They're already hitting the tower, and like this is pretty interesting because um, I don't think you see that almost ever in modern Dota. This is like some, you could see this at like TI3 or something, but really not in modern Dota. So there's a fight. Parivision take the fight. Naga sleeps. This guy gets out. Enigma is still alive. Yada yada. So this is somehow not working for Navi already. And that is simply because they have this idea of how game design should work, but then the small things just ruin that. And maybe something went wrong. I didn't watch the game too carefully. Maybe something went wrong early, so their strategy got ruined, or maybe they just kind of messed up a little bit in terms of kind of not taking care of smaller things during the draft, so they kind of revealed too much too early or something like that. But anyway, here's another example of kind of breaking the idea that Dire have. What is Stark doing? He's creep skipping, which is, it's a term in Dota, and what is Naga doing? She's also kind of creep skipping. And that's generally the idea that they have here. And this is why Naga makes sense. Simply because Satanic probably knew, like, I'm not going to lose my lane too badly. Like, I'm not going to lose it completely. So all I really have to do is just, I will lose the towers. There's nothing I can do to stop like Dire from taking towers. But what I can do is I can farm enough so that they kind of get stuck. Because Stark also has the same idea. Like, I'm just going to go behind enemy and creep skip. And that's it. From this point onward, there's simply not that much that Dire can do as they're stuck with this Pugna carry. And Stark is just, Stark isn't playing his kind of own little game. Yeah, they're losing mid tier too. This is kind of unpleasant, this getting hit early. But then they don't really care. And you can see, like, a lesser team, even like high tier teams, they could a little bit freak out here. They could try to match the aggression by picking like some semi-carry post one, and then trying to really play into what Navi are doing. Then the game could have actually been Navi's. They could win maybe if Radiant was a different team that kind of has less sort of composure or like understanding. But you can see Slark is just, it's not really game breaking in a sense, like we kind of all expect this to happen. This is nothing new. But at the same time, this is not that often seen, like you don't see this level of just, we're not gonna let you do this. And you can see, like, this tower is down. These guys are here because they want to go high ground. And there's this lurking around from Slark. This is quite this is quite cool, because even like they can, how do I put this? They kind of have an idea of how long this game should be. I think maybe this attempt was premature, but they quickly realize it and they give up on it. They quickly realize, okay, we need to cut our losses, go back to doing the same thing. And you can see they're just doing the same thing. Yeah, guys, you're gonna push. There's this one creep. But, you're going to take our tier 3, okay. But you don't have creeps anymore, so you're not going to take Rex. And at 40 minutes, they lose tier 3, and it's a little bit maybe unpleasant to play, but I feel like I would rather be Parivision than I would be Navi in this situation, because Navi are just stuck with sort of a strategy they have to execute. Maybe they could have done something different, like put Jakiro as a carry and have like 5-position Pugna, and then have it like some kind of late game with Jakiro carry. Maybe it works. I don't really know. But at this point, you can see the game is not going to be that long. So we can just see what happens. They use Black Hole to kill Slark, and again, like, this is their game plan. We just want to have some kind of advantage. And then we're going to go high ground. And this is second tier 3 that has fallen down at like 60 minutes. There's nobody creep skipping. So now they have to fight, and Stark respawns. There's no ages, nothing, like not really an advantage. Like there's 4k gold for Paravision. They kind of easily defend simply because they have like gold parity. They have their items. Oh, this guy has a pipe. This guy had, well, travels, I guess. No mech yet, but they have enough like levels and just general stats to fight it off. And now once they take over the map, the game is just gonna end very soon. They try to go again for this, push, because what else are they gonna do? They fail again. They are losing even more gold now. There are no creeps to push with, and pretty much now every minute there's like 1k gold advantage for Radiant. They get wiped, and well, there's your Kez. And taking 2 tier 3s by like 17 minutes and losing 13k at 20, losing Shard. I believe they just type GG here. I don't think there's even another fight. Oh no, there is a fight. So they go for some kind of Roche play, but there isn't really. And that was game 1 of a best of 3. As I said, Navi have won that best of 3. So despite losing like that, Navi have actually won the series, and they're the one who qualified. For some reason, I think they kind of, the games are kind of messed up a little bit, I guess. Anyway, so that's if we go back to our idea of game design. Clearly, something's like something else is going on. The game design aspect just does it not work? Just wait a second. Does it even work? Well, that's the point. It does work. It exists, and those limitations are real. But you have tools in the game, like you have items and you have hero combos. You also have like smaller mechanics like moving, positioning, etc. But those are the general things that you can use to affect this. In a sense, like it does work until you start doing this, until you start buying proper items or proper hero combinations, taking like proper hero combinations that allow you to circumvent the game design aspects. And in some sense, it's not like it's the creep skipping part. Of course, you need a certain hero to do it. You cannot just do it on any hero, but there are more heroes that can do it than you think, especially if you go for like Shadowblade, etc. So this aspect of like interaction of tools in the game and design is interesting, because at the same time as design can work against you, it can work for you. Because what we saw in that game where let's say, okay, let's say it like this: Vision, and on the other hand we have Navi. These guys, they chose design. These guys, they choose to counter. So it's not that the game wants you to do this or this. It's that it's your choice, whichever you're doing. And if you want to follow the design, then you have to prepare for it. And this is where, like, basically, it is getting closer to what I kind of wanted to talk about, a bit closer to what Dota is. Dota is a bit closer related to Dota. All right. So, uh, take all of that in, what I said, game design, etc., and now we're gonna go further into this idea. I want to mention like a special shout out to OG, but I think most people remember OG as two-time TI winners and don't really remember what they were doing after that. In fact, they played another TI. There was like one TI was skipped because of COVID, and then am I gonna get demonetized? I'm not monetized, so I don't care. I can say COVID, 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 COVID. So they played another TI, and the roster was kind of interesting. It was Saxa and Sumail. It was Saxa before he won TI. So Misha on coach. And they did okay. They got 8th place. It was the biggest TI prize pool, I think, ever. So 8th place was probably more than what you would get today at TI. Well, maybe the same or something like that. So it was significant. And they were playing kind of, to me, they were still playing interesting Dota, and this was still an interesting tournament. OG were in some sense maybe unlucky because they got Team Secret in the upper bracket who got 3rd place, and then they got Team Spirit in the lower bracket who got 1st place. So it's like maybe a little bit unlucky in terms of bracket. But one game in particular that I personally kind of got a really interesting idea. I guess at the time this is what allowed me to formulate sort of a concept in my mind about Dota. And the concept I'll share with you a bit later, but to my mind, maybe it was some previous tournaments, but OG were kind of really going all in on stacking in some games. And I couldn't really describe why it was working because, everybody can stack. It's not like they invented stacking. Stacking wasn't in the game forever. But the way they were stacking and using it, it was just something different. Like I just liked it way more. So in this game, you can see Seb is playing it's pos 3 Wisp with Holy Locket, and Notel is playing pos 5 Mars. It didn't go well, although they were winning at some point, and then they lost. And he's playing with Saxa, the Tusk. So basically, a very weird lineup. Like, I mean, again, I like weird lineups because sometimes they reveal something interesting about the game, but also I really like it because you can see that at the highest level, these things come up. Like, it's not designated to when you're weak. It's not that when you're doing something different, it means that you're weak. It's sometimes a more kind of profound thing that is happening. Here's another game by OG. This is against Tundra. Here they play an Alchemist offlane, which is way more popular than a Wisp offlane. But also, like at 60 minutes, they bought Axe for Sumail, that kind of strat. And by the way, right now in this patch, it can also work, but I think Gyro is probably the best candidate. If you can farm Gyro like a quick Axe, it can really just destroy the game. By the way, notice 33 playing with Dominator on Tide. For people who are thinking that this TI this year was like the first time this stuff came up, it wasn't really. It just, Dota has a long history of things happening in it. By the way, they're like playing with Fata here. Fata, what a player. All right. So what did all of this inspire me? I just wanted to show you these games in terms of that there's a bit strange, but the stacking that I've mentioned. And if we go back to drawing pictures about the children's game. How do I? No, that's not what I want to do. Please. Bear with me. Yeah, got it. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so the concept. I feel weird even saying it because I think it sounds so pretentious. But the idea is very simple. It's It has to do with thresholds, and I would call it counter execution thresholds. Let's do it this way. Counter execution what the hell does that mean? Maybe somebody already kind of gets what I'm trying to say, but I think once I explain it, I think everybody has seen it, and you probably use it in your games as well. It's just that putting it into words and kind of trying to navigate into more precise understanding of what it is and how to come towards it. So counter means you're countering something. So, and what you're countering is execution. So how people tactically execute something. And then threshold is essentially a limit which you cross. Let's say this is the limit, and once you cross it, you cross this threshold, and something changes. Like this is a plus and this is a minus. So this is like ice and this is water. Once you cross this 0 Celsius barrier, it kind of switches. So this is what I mean. So there's some kind of threshold which you cross, and then you counter execution. This might still not mean anything, but in terms of what this means is once you cross this threshold, no amount of correct execution is gonna fix anything for the executing party. Again, so once you cross a threshold, so this is threshold T, and enemy has like a plan of execution, let's call it E, you counter it. So here E doesn't work anymore. Here E does not work anymore. Sorry, my cat is going crazy trying to get my attention. This is a tiny eraser, I gotta say. Sorry, this is taking a long time. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that here you can. Oh my god. Oh. The fortunate part is that I'm recording it in one go. I'm not editing it, so it's if I edit it now, why is it not? Oh yeah, because it's. Sorry, it's gonna take too long. I'm not good at editing right now, so. All right, back on track. So above this threshold, execution doesn't work. Below this threshold, execution works. You can imagine it in a very simple scenario where, let's say, there's high ground. There's like steps to go high ground. Here's your carry. Here's enemy. Post 4 and post 3. They wanna attack your carry, stun him, and just destroy him, kill him. If this is happening, that means your carry, no matter how well they execute, if they add like the mid, they add the carry, they add the 5, etc. Their execution, no matter how well they execute, best case scenario, they still lose the fight or whatever. Maybe they kill the carry, but then everybody else from your team is just gonna wipe them. So this is a situation. Basically, you kind of almost free roll in terms of like you're either gonna win hard or just win. And this sounds good. This should kind of intrigue people, because if you can get that just means that you win. It doesn't exactly mean that you win. It means that in the situation, if enemy were to come and try to attack you, they lose. So they just cannot do it. Like they cannot try to execute anything. They should do something else. And this is what we've seen. Kind of Navi were trying to get to that position where their carry is just go and hit on the towers, and there's nothing they can do about it. So they go in, they fight, and then it's over. And you could see in this one fight bottom where they just like lose center. I think it was center dies. They just abort, go back, go here. Just disperse. So this is very interesting. Okay, I should switch back to Dota, otherwise I'm gonna lose my audience because I'm talking for too long and drawing pictures. But I hope it already kind of starts to make sense what I'm talking about. In that it's in that it applies to games. It's not just an imaginary concept. Oh, sorry. Before I show you Dota, I still have to show you a bit more of something else. Okay, yeah, this thing. So these are hero win rates for hero stats for Luna in qualifiers. This is close qualifiers. This is for players. Radiant win rate, you can ignore that. But these are the players who played Luna, and let's say minimum games is like, let's say 1 game, so we don't get. So these are the players who played at least like, I think at least 2 games or what? Yeah, at least 2 games. Yeah, at least 2 games. As you can see, there are not many players who are playing a lot of Luna, and in close qualifiers. Munkushi is the one who tried the most, but really not that successful with it. Nobody is really successful with Luna, so Luna is a weird hero. And when I watched One Win play it, I was really skeptical about what is going on. So what I'm trying to say is that Luna doesn't really have in 740 qualifiers. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Doesn't have like significantly good win rate. It's just okay, I guess. It's 43% this few games. Hard to tell if it's good, but it doesn't look amazing. Like for example, Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit looks really interesting, like something you really want to look into. Luna looks kind of pointless in some sense. Like, why would you play it? But for some reason, Team Liquid keep trying to play it, and guess what? It works in this game. It works. So this is what I wanted to look at, because Team Liquid also are the ones who are trying to pick Luna. They get it banned against them sometimes even. And if these teams are picking it, like One Win and Liquid, it's not because they're stupid. They're not stupid. They're not picking it because they just don't know that some other heroes exist, like Weaver exists. They know Weaver exists, but there's a reason why they're doing this. And in this draft, something interesting, I think, kind of happens. So they 18 pick Luna, which is kind of standard to 18 pick your carry once you see like what's going on. As you can see, they have this like Ringmaster Largo duo already. A lot of sort of not really steroids, but this is a lot of backline that is helping your core hidden towers. You can already see like the team fight organization when they're pushing towers. Then they add Underlord, and what they have here is they have significant, really significant manipulation of damage, but not that they get a lot of damage themselves, although they do. They get a lot of damage reduction. Ringmaster helps. Luna has Moonshell. Underlord has his aura. Viper has his aura, and not aura, like his passive. So there is significant amount of just damage reduction plus heal on top of that. I hope you can hear that. Anyway, what you can notice here at 15 minutes, they're not really winning. So it's not like a cheese shred where they win every lane and just go end. So this is not a cheese shred, but it is a shred that they're doing. And I guess we can look at what Luna does. There's some kind of attempt to go on Underlord, and then they, do this thing. Did he actually? Yeah, he gated to. He created a gate to them so they can come. Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's kind of like they kind of know what they're doing. And you can see, like, this is in some sense Mouse come in, like, once you see that, watching Boom play this situation is kind of funny. Because they gate, they smoke, they find Underlord in enemy triangle or like duangle, they go on him. And it's like, it's like they're bringing themselves to the enemy so that they get slaughtered. And it makes obvious kind of the game plan that Liquid have. I mean, you see Luna, you think tower pushing, base pushing. And this is a very interesting situation because once you look at it from that angle, from like just game design angle, the angle Liquid are taking, they're just taking their heroes and using them for their job, more or less. Like reduce the damage and fight the team fight. So what happens after that? Luna's farming a little bit more. They kind of get a little bit of gold. She has Vlad's, so an aura item. And when your carry buys Vlad's, it's by the way, when I was watching the replay, I didn't notice, but it just makes so much sense. When your carry buys Vlad's, unless it's Morph, you're gonna group up because Vlad's, like it has obscene value when you group up a lot of heroes together. And well, they have Pipe, they have Vlad's, they take Roche. And this is what I mean by counter execution threshold. They get shard. At this point, Mouse can no longer fight. Why that is, even if they execute extremely well, I don't know about perfect, but even if they execute extremely well, the amount of heal, the amount of save, this guy can buy back TP, it's just gonna be impossible to win the fight. So essentially what they're saying on Liquid is like, go click your spells however you want, you're gonna lose the fight. So what is the only thing that is possible for Mouse here? To dodge the fights, right? Like you cannot go and defend this. You need to go here, kill the creeps, as we saw 9 Class was doing. But well, there's no setup for it. Crystallis is here like trying to do something because there's only 2 heroes. Okay, he's gonna defend probably the tower, but he's defending the tower while losing heroes on the map. And this tower is not going to live for long because the point is not to kill the creeps that are here. The point is to kill the next wave so that the tower has the backdoor protection. So you stall that away. But because this is not happening, it's just more or less over. Unless it starts happening now. Because you can see, as time goes on, there's only one scenario that can, or let's say there's one scenario towards which Mouse are going. When Liquid are going to go high ground, they're going to make some kind of mistake that's going to get punished, and Mouse are going to come back. But the problem is, Liquid have a lineup that has this counter execution threshold with all the auras, the heroes they pick, they have the Aegis. And Aegis is kind of like the prime example of counter execution threshold. Like once you have Aegis, sometimes it's like irrelevant how well they execute because you're just going to respawn and just kill them anyway. And at this point, like they're pushing high ground 23 minutes, which is sort of the obvious thing to do with Luna. But the way they got this advantage wasn't by brute forcing this. It was more or less planned into their, like design of their heroes. They were not forcing the design of their heroes, just using them for what they're, meant for. There isn't really some kind of like really clever. In fact, if you saw Luna with the Vlads in a pub, you would, if I just show you a screenshot of this build, you would say it's probably low MMR or maybe even a bot game. Like it's just a bot with a determined item build. They're not really gaining gold. But the same idea follows. And here's what I mean. Like, obviously it wasn't perfect execution. Maybe they could have done something better, but I feel like Mickey is kind of overplaying his hand a little bit there. And we've all seen this situation where you just cannot, defend. They're hitting it and you cannot defend. I've seen it with Tide a lot earlier in this patch, where Tide would just go and like take every single tower. Anyway, so Liquid win this, and if we go back to kind of draft and just think about what is happening here. Once you see all of this, I think even like at this point, when you say Ringmaster Largo, you don't know if Largo is post 3 or post 5, but I don't think it matters that much. I think this is here where you already have to accept that you need a hero that's going to go behind the enemy lines. A hero that's going to stall the game. Somebody who's going to creep skip. Because what do these heroes lack? All of them lack actual like direct catch. You will have to outplay like Ringmaster and Largo in some way to escape. But that's doable. Like a Weaver, for example, can do it. Maybe like Furion even, if you know like playing macro properly. But what are Mouse doing? Like they have some other plan. What I really think is true is that once you see a lot of damage negation or a lot of sustained heal, you really need to focus on creep skipping. That is just sort of like the mechanic that you need to focus on in terms of drafting. And in that sense, Luna kind of makes sense and doesn't make sense at the same time. I can see how it can work if you build this lineup and then, if you're picking Luna, perhaps maybe you should just focus on getting, for example, if this Viper is a Bet Rider, like a mid Bet Rider, who kind of does okay, I guess, in lane, or like maybe it's hard to pick offlane Bet Rider, but then you can pick mid who's gonna fulfill the offlane role. Like you can pick Kanka who buys a pipe. The idea here really to me just says that, once you align all of these mechanics. So if we look at this from this perspective, like you wanna get to this threshold, so you wanna get to this threshold, so it has to be countered by creep skipping, creep skip. Let's say it this way. So like the ball is passed to this team, so they pass it to you. You have to get catch, so that creep skipping can stop. So this means they need like counter catch in some sense, like they need to stop TPs, or something. Like for that they need vision. And then it kind of develops into full-fledged this like game of ping pong, like I do this, you do this, etc., etc. But for now, I think this is developing into this sort of like idea of we're gonna do the threshold play. You're gonna have to try to keep skip to stop us from doing that, because if we get to that threshold, there's really not that much you can do. Obviously, it depends on lanes, and then you can try to get the lanes right, and just never let them get their like farming going, so they never reach the threshold. But the more important thing that I would focus here on is that if threshold, if this threshold idea is just much more natural in the game, then it might be that like getting the right draft to execute this is like twice as easy. You just have to ban a couple of heroes that the best the best heroes that creep skip. Like you just ban the creep skip heroes. You just ban this, and then it's just gonna be super easy. You just need like 4 or 5 bans, for example, or like 3 bans, because not every team can even play Slark 4. So it becomes easy, and the natural kind of outgrowth of that is somewhere between like the Pugna pos 1, and something like what would be like the hard like AM pos 1, somewhere in between. Maybe it's a core that is just a core. Maybe it's even a core that buys pipe. Maybe mech. So I think this is the most interesting question here. Like all of this, what I was talking about, theoretically could lead to just cores becoming cores. Not having this, I'm pos 1, so I buy Satanic, you know. Like, I just pick a hero that buys Satanic Daedals, you know. I think this whole concept is like pause one buys this, pause one goes top, etc. It's kind of starting to finally kind of get them thrown out of the window. Even though we've seen this before, you know, we've seen Kunkka carry, you know, fuck, my writing is like, it's so hard to understand. I'll try to work on that maybe a little bit. So like we've seen Kunkka carry, we are seeing Beast carry right now, Beastmaster. We have seen like a Seth with mech before in mid, like Miracle played it, etc. So all of this might be starting to become the meta. Even like a hero like Luna can do it as well. Like she can buy a mech if that's what you need to get the advantage and start like this bold rolling towards this threshold, you know. I guess the last example I want to show, it's a little bit. By the way, I think Liquid just won. It's a little bit lower tier of Dota. It's from EPL, like the latest EPL tournament. Let's see. I think they just win. They just win some fight and then it's over. I mean, I honestly, it just seems so miserable to fight into this. Like they try to kill on. Actually, like SF is surviving way longer than he's still alive. Jesus. But I think this is like the epitome of what I'm talking about. Everything. I guess he didn't use ult. Interesting. Like it was a long fight, but nobody on Liquid is dead, and they still have the ages. I mean, they did use cheese, I believe. And this is it. Like this is you know, checkmate. There's simply nothing else in the tank for these guys. That's it. And this is kind of the Luna lineups and the damage reduction lineups. I think this is how they should work. So unless you plan or like really quickly figure out what tools you have to deal with it, it can just become this, you know, maybe somebody remembers TI4 era where it was like the finals took like 2 hours to play or something, where it was this like, we're gonna push your towers, you're gonna have to defend the towers, and like how is gonna happen. I think Dota has progressed a lot since then, so it's not so simple nowadays, but the general pattern, I see it's still alive. It is still alive. Okay, this game is like the final example I'm gonna make. It's already quite a long video, I believe. Yeah, almost an hour long. So this is a slightly lower tier of games. This is Winter Bear versus Yellow Submarine, who are, by the way, I think, like playing finals right now to qualify to Wallachia, I believe. So the more interesting thing here is that in the draft it was Storm Spirit 14 pick, and then 17th pick Huskar, and then 18th pick Sniper, and all they do is just they put Storm in the easy lane. And it's this carry player who, like, first of all, has kind of a weird, you know, buy. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense. Like, Storm range. So excuse me, range hero with good stats, you know, good animation, somewhat, you know, kind of reminds you of a Seth a lot. It's not exactly the same, but kind of reminds you of Seth a little bit. With you know, Treant. Kind of, at this point, it almost feels like a very standard combo. Treant plus a range sort of carry hero. And this is what I'm talking about. This might seem like like we have to do this. This is, but in some sense, this is not even. This is not crazy. This is not like last. This was definitely planned, by the way, because they knew for a fact that Huskar can, like, Panda plays Huskar. Like, they knew it 100%. They were like baiting this Huskar 17 pick. It's 100%. So this could be the future, you know. This could be the future. Even just having a normal mid like Tiny could be mid, and then Storm Spirit carry, because that is what allows you to play like this strat that you're trying to make happen. There's also Underlord, and there's like pause for Earth Spirit. I guess this guy, I don't know, is he like professional Earth Spirit player? I don't know. But the idea is still there. Basically, have this sort of abandon the design that players are trying to force onto themselves by saying that there's pause 1, when in the game there is no such thing as pause 1. There is just tools that the heroes have, and the clear distinction is really just cores and supports. And this game is kind of representative of it. So this is just the core, this is just the core, and this is just the core. Underlord, who's dead, by the way. And at the end of the game, what are they buying? Like, this guy is just buying carry items, kind of, and this guy is just buying the normal storm items. And nothing really changed, in the sense, like, it doesn't really matter which lane he went to. It was just suitable for this. So in that sense, I think, like, the biggest thing to really end this on, I guess, is this. That really, the main game design thing here is that you have a core and you have support. And then you have to play from that idea. All right. Well, this has been a long one. Thank you for sticking around. Hope this was useful and at least made you think about some interesting stuff that maybe you'll figure something out that I didn't. Maybe it will help you win some games. Maybe you will uninstall Dota because it's too complicated, or maybe you will think that I am a little bit stupid because I found all of this interesting. Anyway, most of those things are probably true. Good luck in your games, and I hope to see you again. Bye, everybody.